Reset with Raven family. Finally, I am back. This has been the longest break ever. Intended for it to be a couple of weeks, and now it's been like 3 or 4 months. And I feel like literally everything that could pause me, stop me, everything just continued to get in the way of me restarting, of me resetting, of me putting out season two. This has been just a journey, just a difficult year. I'm sure as many of you that are listening are thinking the same thing, like, yo, this year has been cray. And it made me think about like just even our interactions with people and our interactions like and our truth with ourselves, right? I thought about this past year when I talked to people on the phone or, and I had to talk to people through a mask and people are like, how are you? And, you give the obligatory, I'm fine or I'm good. And it made me think about like, is everybody just lying? I think we've gotten in such a big habit, right? And maybe if it's not even intended to be like lying, maybe it's just like survival and just something that we're just accustomed to doing of telling people, hey, I'm good, I'm fine, thanks for asking, and not being honest or truthful with ourselves. And it made me think about actually, you know what? This has been a year of, me saying, hey, I'm fine, me trying to show up, me launching this podcast, of me venturing into entrepreneurship, of me really rediscovering myself, trying to really figure out how am I? Am I fine? Am I okay? And I realized actually, no, I'm not okay. This year has been all types of ups and downs, hills and valleys. It's been a time where I've really tried to get to know myself, get to know what's important, stretch myself, take myself outside of my comfort zone, and really get like in sync with me. And I started thinking more and more about, the podcast and feeling like a weight on my shoulders to produce quality, real content. Because this podcast is so important to me, I want to make sure that every single person that takes time out of their day or listens to this while they're, washing dishes or driving, that they get something that's valuable. So I remember when I was like, okay, it's time for season two, I kept like wrestling through so many different ideas of what about this or what about this theme and what does that sound like? Or will people find any interest or value in that? And I feel like I just went through cycles and circles of like going nowhere fast. And I used all of that to stop me, to pause me. And I got caught up in that. And I wasn't able to really finally, hit the record button until I realized it's not about you. It's not about you. This podcast is to reach people who like you have been hurting, who like you need a reset, who similar to you are going through their own stuff, and to really humble myself and really think about, what am I doing this for and who am I doing this for? And not allow my insecurities to stop me from continuing to show up. And that was another thing, I'm thinking about, oh, you're on camera and how does it sound when you're like, what, all that type of stuff, right? And you're stumbling over your words. And I kept coming back to be real, be truthful, be honest. And that's what people will connect to. That's what people will relate to. And then I started thinking about too, when we go back to the insecurities, like, how do you look when you're on camera? Do you need a beat? Do you need to look like, you killing them? And it's like, girl, just show up. Just hit, look together, but just show up. And shout out to Lindsay, one of my great friends, who said, people don't come for the aesthetic, they come for the message. So thank you for that. That really helped me move past some of the insecurities that I had when it comes to showing up, when it comes to recording and really putting myself out there, because I'm giving you my heart, my experiences. And as I bring guests on, they're doing the same. It's an opportunity for us to all be vulnerable and to share some of our scars, our wounds, and what we're doing to heal. And that's one of the things I love about this community that we are building with Reset with Raven, is that we're healing, we're growing, and we're on this journey together. And we can't allow our insecurities, we can't allow our frustration and discouragement to throw us off track, because that's something I think that probably everyone listening has dealt with throughout their life, and especially this past year and a half, or coming up on 2 years in the pandemic, because it's been one of those things. It's like, when is this going to be over? I feel like I'm one of those people, like, if I can see the finish line, it's like, okay, at least I have an end point. Just get to this date or just get to this spot. But this just seems like, a continuous like marathon where it's like, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. And I'm just, over it. I'm over it. And I'm very hopeful that the end of the sphere, the end, quote unquote, new normal is coming close, and that we're all able to adjust to what I guess our new normal is becoming. But it's definitely been a year and a half that I would say where there's been a lot of fear, there's been a lot of frustration, and a lot of just irritation. Like I need a break, right? Trying to like gather and peace of mind. And one of the things that I think why I love this community and why I love being able to get up here and share and connect with people is that I've realized it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to ask for help. I think that this year, I was just having a conversation with, shout out to April. April, you know who you are. And I was telling her that I found that through this year, the relationships and the friendships that I have, they've actually grown deeper, because when I was at some of my lowest moments, I was truthful. When they asked, hey, how are you doing? I didn't respond with, like, I'm okay. I'm like, no, I'm going through. I'm having a day, or I'm in a funk. And that's one of, I guess you'd call it, blessings in disguise, or unexpected blessings, that this past year, year and a half has really revealed or shown in my life, to just be truthful, be honest. That core group of people that you can tell, like, here's what's going on, here's how I feel, here's what I'm working through, here's just my honesty, my truth, and here's my heart. And being able to share with my people or my crew, and sometimes I call them my board of governors, it's been refreshing. It's been refreshing because it's helped me to realize that being honest and being truthful with your core group of people that you can be yourself with is so valuable, and it's so helpful. And it's really helped me in my growth this past year. So I'm super excited for you all to engage and indulge in season two. And this is where also too I will reveal what season two's theme is. So the theme, I finally arrived at one right after I told you I was going in circles. I'm like, what's gonna be good for people? What's gonna stand out to people? What can people grow from, learn from, relate to? So without further ado, season two is called Look Again, It's Not What It Looks Like. You got it? Look again. It's not what it looks like. Oh, wow. So it took months to arrive to realize that was the theme. And how I arrived there is basically this year and doing kind of like not only like a year in review, but doing my life in review. I realized a lot of things were not the way I initially saw them when it comes to, career, relationships, personal growth, when it comes to betrayal. And I don't mean just like when someone else betrays you, but when you betray yourself, when it comes to identity. For all of my loyal listeners, one of the things I talked about in season one is that my identity was tied to my job. And when that chapter closed, it was a struggle for me to realize, like, who are you? Who are you without this job? And another thing I realized is that I grew as a person, I grew as an adult, I grew a lot of my adult friendships when I lived in Houston. So when I moved to Phoenix and then moved again back to Georgia, it's like, okay, now all of these relationships, this is where they will, either stand the test of time or they won't. So it's like, okay, these are opportunities for you to really put on your big girl pants and realize who you are. Who are you without these people? Who are you without this title? Who are you without this job? And that's where I really had to do some internal, some internal review, some internal, like really processing how I had tied myself to all those things. So that was huge for me in terms of look again, you are not those things. Those are things that you did. Those are things that you contributed to, but they are not who you are. They didn't make you, and they definitely didn't break you. So that was huge in terms of my look again. It's not what it looks like. Another huge takeaway for me in the look again, it's not what it looks like is that I remember when I decided like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna jump into entrepreneurship." That's hot. That's real sexy right now. And I didn't jump into it for that reason. I jumped into it because I really have a heart to serve and to speak life into people and to coach, to mentor. However, I had this initial like download to do it. I initially felt ill-equipped. Let's just keep it all the way 100. It's like I don't know what to do. And then like a lot of this in terms of putting yourself out there was really being active on social media. Like pre 2020, I was not in these social media streets like at all. Like I had accounts, but I didn't use them. I didn't post. So now I'm like, a millennial that's trying to figure out like the tiki talkie, TikTok. And it's like, I don't have, like that skill set yet. So it's like, okay, I'm in a completely different space even though I know I have the gift of speaking to people, like the whole social media game, that's a whole nother beast of a different nature. So I'm out here in these social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn streets, and I'm trying to figure it out. And a lot of it is, putting yourself out there, putting yourself on Front Street, and it's uncomfortable. And if you don't know how to position certain things, some of the certain apps, how to use them, and then also too, I realized like I'm not really an oversharer. So it's like, okay, well, how much is too much? How do I know whether or not to, full throttle or hold back? Maybe I don't want to know all that. Like, so all of that. And then also to seem personable and not like dry. And it still is, right? It still is a challenge for me. And then like, if you've been accused of having RBF, you're working on that as well. So again, I had to realize, and this has taken a long time to realize, and it's something I'm still working through. So don't believe it's like, oh, she has arrived, because I have not arrived. That it's about the content. It's about your heart. It's about what you are bringing to the audience, what you're bringing to the space. And shout out to my mentor who reminded me that you are not called to be like everybody else. I want somebody who's listening to this right now to remember you're not supposed to be like everyone else. And that is how you stand out. That is your superpower. When you have gifts, when you have an anointing, there will be something special about you. That drip, the sauce, whatever you want to call it, it's something different about you. So when I have started to accept that I'm not going to look like everyone else, I'm not going to sound like everyone else, that's something that I can own, and that's something that I can be proud of, and that's something that I can utilize to eliminate some of those insecurities about speaking, about putting myself out there, about putting my face out there. Just so many different things when you are like the face of something or the voice of something, because I'm sure someone else is listening that's thinking like I'm my own worst critic. And that's one of the things that I think people who really want to do great work, who, they want to do everything with excellence, they criticize themselves. They look at, like they tear themselves apart before anybody else can. And that's something that I'm working to reset on and really change about, like just, being extra critical of myself. Of course, I think it's important to do everything with integrity and to do your best. But I want people to hear the content. I want people to feel moved, to feel different, and to feel like, you know what? I'm not like everyone else. And that's the great part. That's the beautiful part. So that has been huge, huge, huge in my look again. It's not what it looks like. And a big thing too that happened was I moved back. I alluded to it earlier. I moved back to Georgia and moved in with my parents. And I'm like, how am I 30 years old and I'm back at home? I've not lived at home since I was 17 years old. So that, oh my gosh, like that has been like, whoa. And I remember seeing it as a negative. I remember seeing all the, issues with it. And it's like, how could you do this? How could this happen? Da da da. And then I had to look again and be reminded that it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have two loving, amazing parents. It's a blessing to have a place to go. It's a blessing to have that time, that peace, that space to reset, regroup, recenter, so I can make my next move my best move. So, look again, it's not what it looks like, is what I'm challenging every person to look at and to do in this new season of Reset with Raven, as well as in this new season of your life. Things that you may have thought were meant to like hurt you, things that you thought were meant to like knock you down and to, take you off your grind. Look again. And I'm not saying that it's not lemons. It may be lemons, but I charge you to make lemonade out of it. I charge you to find, and it may be require some digging to find, okay, what's the silver lining in this? Or how can I utilize this and make it work for my benefit? So look again. It's not what it looks like. Y'all, I'm so excited to be back with regular weekly content. If you have not already, visit the website activatethedream.com. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. I'm going to be releasing all types of gifts, freebies. Make sure you subscribe. I don't want you to miss anything. We have some different programs that are going to be coming out in 2022. I'm super excited. We may even have something come out before the end of the year. So stay tuned before 2021, depending on when 2021 ends, depending on when this episode releases. So make sure you stay connected. Connect with me on IG. I'm Raven M. Harris. Connect with me at the website. And I'm Raven M. Harris everywhere. So make sure you stay connected so you don't miss anything that we have going on. This is an exciting time. We're turning season two, returning to. And one of the things I think that I'm so grateful for is that the content that is coming, it's richer, it's fuller. And I think it's coming from a more centered place, a centered place of someone who's been through some things. And I want to walk you through some of these processes, some of these teachings, some of these things that my guest and I have had to learn the hard way, hoping that you can skip over some of these steps, or if you're going through some of these obstacles and challenges, that now you can go through it with a community, with support, and just with guidance and with encouragement. I really want to inspire people to activate their dreams, to not have just their dreams in their sleep and in their minds, but to make it a reality. You know, we only got YOLO, we only got one life, and we have to make the best of it. And, no matter what has happened in the past, you can reset. You can reset. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you can reset. Again, I'm Raven M. Harris. And remember, a reset is always available to you.